Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices, and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voters, the constituents, to know the truth. Remember, fam, we will not be silenced. If you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and hold our elected leaders accountable, well, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You can subscribe to both Facebook and YouTube. On Facebook, where we could be found under Frankie Olivo, and on YouTube, we ask that you subscribe to Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. So make sure you subscribe to Frankie Olivo TV. We will not be silenced, fam. And once again, I am very, very thankful for each and every one of you for your time and attention. Thank you so much, Brownsville. It means the world to me. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Friday, TGIF. I just realized that it's Friday the 13th. So we're probably going to get nothing but Jason marathons on the tube. A lot's been happening, ladies and gentlemen, as of late. And one thing that I do want to share with my community is that I take great pride in coming before you and talking about the things that the politicos do not want you to hear. I've been criticized. I've been ridiculed, saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm inventing things, that I'm crazy. But time, ladies and gentlemen, time has been showing us how everything that we've been saying is falling into place. Now, what we talk about isn't discussed in the Herald. We don't have investigative journalists who talk to you about the details that the politicos are doing behind closed doors. The politicos do not like what we've been saying because we've been shedding light on their backroom deals, on everything that is happening, everything they're conspiring. We have said that this is a web of corruption, and we stand by that. What is interesting about all of this is that the politicos are upset that we are letting you, the voter, the masses, know what is going on behind closed doors. Again, people in the public will say, oh, Frankie's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But behind closed doors, they're like, damn, how does Frankie know this stuff? Why is he saying this stuff? Well, I'm saying this stuff so you, the voter, you, the constituent, knows what's going on. Everything that we talk about, we provide receipts, proof, because if there's anything that I say that you find out is a lie, I lose you. I don't want to lose you. So I ask for your patience and understanding that whenever I say that we're working on this story and that this story is bigger and it keeps on growing and that the rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper, best believe it is such as we say. I'm giving you insights into what the politicos, into the circles, into the deals that are being made behind closed doors. While no one is covering this, while the major news agencies choose to avoid these topics, we come on to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., bringing you bangers. Why am I doing this? Because we're against corruption. We want to hold our elected leaders accountable. We focus on the city, on the runoff elections. Pedrito Cárdenas had a lot of material for us to cover. This isn't nothing new. But did the outside world know about this? We talked about how there was an arrangement for Martin Sarkis based on our diagram, the famous diagram that I was ridiculed for, that it was real. And we were laughed at and mocked. But time has been on our side. And I'm not here to take credit for it. I'm a humble servant, and I want what you want, a better Brownsville, a better quality of life, and to hold our elected leaders accountable. That is my role in life. Many people lately have been saying that, oh, you're nothing like Erasmo. You're right. I'm nothing like him. I'm more raw. I'm more in your face. I'm more ruthless. So to all those people that are laughing, they say that the one that laughs at the end, always lasts the best. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about what happened behind closed doors on this past Tuesday's BISD board meeting. You want to know what was said, don't you? Wouldn't you want to know who's going to be interviewed for the vacant BISD seat that was previously held by board president Erasmo Castro in place 7? Don't you want to know? We have a good audience today. It seems as if whenever we cover BISD, there's always a good audience. But if you're here today, it's because you care. You want to know what these leaders are doing behind closed doors. And that is my job today. Today, we'll be talking about who will be interviewed for the vacant spot that is of place 7. And that is how we will start today's show. Enjoy.
A Brownsville ISD board seat remains vacant. This after the school board could not come to an agreement on who should fill it. The discussion happened last night during a special meeting. Channel 5's Stephanie Rosales was at the meeting and explains what's next.
I do believe that it is important that we did try to nominate someone.
I'm not going to vote for the election being held in May. I think the voters and the people who are actually going to put their names on the ballot need a little bit more than 25 or 30 days.
A divided school board has led to a time crunch over at Brownsville ISD. As one of the school board of trustees, seats remains empty. The school board has 180 days to fill the vacancy.
I think it's really important for the community to show that we want to bring consensus and we want to appoint. I really want to thank, I believe there was 26 applicants who took the time to put their resumes together.
Brownsville ISD School Board President Daniela Lopez Valdez is hoping the board can come together to appoint someone to the board. During a special board meeting tonight on the agenda, there were 2 options for the school board to either appoint someone or leave the decision up to voters during the upcoming May special election. Both of those options failed. Board of Trustee Carlos Elizondo does not agree with either and doesn't want to do it in May because it's too soon.
I'm hoping to get the right person here and give them the opportunity to run a successful campaign and get the best individual out there that the community wants to represent them.
Cameron County Elections Administrator Remy Garza says Brownsville ISD School Board has to either appoint or...
That can either occur through the election, which would have to occur on a uniform election day. And as discussed, the one that falls within the 180 days is the May 3rd, 2025 election.
BISD Superintendent Dr. Jesus Chavez says the next steps would be for the board to appoint someone. Another meeting would need to be held. If they don't come up with a decision, TEA would get involved.
That the agency and somebody representing the agency would get involved in the administration and helping the board again move forward with what it needs to do.
If someone is appointed to the board, they would hold the position until the November election. In Brownsville, Stephanie Rosales.
Now, again, after the passing of Erasmo Castro, the BISD school board was informed by their attorneys that they were on the clock, that 180 days was coming in August. And if nothing was decided by the school board and on a nomination, on an appointment, that eventually the state, TEA, would take over. What we have been talking about as of late has been that this process has been rigged, has been manipulated from the get-go. We have players such as Carlos Elizondo and Daniela Lopez Valdez. How Carlos on the video said that he didn't think that the May elections was sufficient time for a candidate to run a successful campaign. But again, we live in a democracy where the will of the people should be listened to. We have stated how there was an agreement, an arrangement done by these parties for them to go to the 11th hour, where the election, it was way past the election, in order for them to appoint someone that was beneficial to them. Isn't it ironic how these individuals did not want to go to an election? Shouldn't you, the voter, decide on who you want to fill the vacant spot? Now, we have been called many names. One thing that we've been that they've been saying about it is, well, you're a clown, you're part of the circus. Not at all. The ringmaster seems to be Carlos Elizondo in this circus, in his quest to finally become the board president after so many years that he's been after this. Now, we've been talking about this over and over and over again. Our mission isn't to fall on deaf ears or to bore you, but it's to stress the idea that this has been manipulated. This has been a circus all along. The board members knew from the very beginning that there was never going to be an election. Instead, they said, oh, apply. We're going to pick someone who applied. We're going to talk about how individuals who had nothing to do with the application process are even now going to be considered for this position. So, is Frankie the clown of the circus? No, I'm just a spectator. The circus is the BISD school board. Now, when we talk about the board members, one thing that has come into play has been that of Mr. Frank Ortiz. Frank Ortiz, for whatever reason, can't seem to get under the shadow that is Carlos Elizondo. It seems as if he has to seek permission from Carlos Elizondo to do certain things. Would you believe me if I said that Frank Ortiz on Tuesday's meeting was still asking for an election? Oh, I'm all for an election. I'm all for an election. The attorneys have advised the parties back in February, back in March, and they said, hey, you're on a time schedule. The elections could only be done in May. Emails were sent out about the timeline, when an election could take place. Did Frank read his emails? Frank seems to be like the scarecrow of the Wizard of Oz, who has no brain. He can't decide for himself what to do, what to say. Is it Carlos, Frank, that's holding your strings like a puppet master? Does Carlos have dirt on you, Frank, that is forcing you to do as you're told? This morning, I came across documents that were sent to Erasmo Castro. Again, I have access to all Erasmo Castro's electronic devices. I came across the ethics complaint that was filed against you, sir. We are working on a story. Is that what Carlos has on you, Frank? Remember when you voted for Erasmo Castro to be the board president? Carlos lashed out at you. He cornered you. He was upset at you Why would you do that? Why would you vote for Erasmo Castro? Why? Why are you like the scarecrow, Mr. Ortiz? You know, you are the biggest disappointment on that school board. Why? Because you're an educator. You were a principal. You knew what it was like for employees, the retaliation, the harassment that they went through. And you're siding with individuals such as the likes of Carlos Elizondo that does that at Rivera High School with his wife, Cindy Elizondo, who's a counselor there. Teachers are upset at you. They have no respect for you, sir. You lost it all. Why, Frank? Why? Why don't you have any huevitos? You're under the skirt of Carlos. Everyone knows that. People are lining up to run against you because they're disappointed in you. This process has been tainted from the very beginning. And who's to blame for this? The devil himself, Carlos Elizondo. He is controlling this from the get-go. Now, what if I told you that Carlos Elizondo is aware of TEA possibly coming into the school district? What if I told you that he doesn't care? What if I told you behind closed doors, he's saying, well, if it happens, it happens. Ni modo. We have talked about how the likes of Houston ISD, if you look at the very bottom, Houston ISD is currently run by TEA. And look at this date. It says TEA announces extension of Houston ISD intervention and new appointments of the Houston ISD Board of Managers. This is going to go on until June the 1st, 2027. Can you see that, fam? Right at the very bottom, the extension that the school board, there is no school board. It's TEA until 2027. When we talk about here in the Valley, same thing with La Jolla. There was investigations in regards to school board fraud and conflicts of interests. What has that caused for TEA to take over? Now, very quickly to discuss the levels of TEA. Level 1 is a base level where there's a monitor that comes and sees everything that is going on and reports it back to TEA. Something like an adult with a student. Do you remember when you would misbehave and your mom had to go to school? Like that. That's level 1. Level 2 is a conservator, where it's more serious. And level 3 is a removal of the school board members, a removal of the superintendent. They take over. They control everything. That is what is happening in Houston. That is what is happening at La Jolla. A complete takeover. What does that mean? That the community has no input. The board members have no input. And look at the current condition in which BISD finds itself right now. There's no CFO. The superintendent is on a 1-year contract. If Carlos Elizondo gets the majority, he's gone 1,000%. They just got rid of the board attorney, O'Hanlon. Their services end June, the last day of June this month. And again, we talked about earlier on Wednesday how Minerva Peña admitted in an open forum that she negotiated prices. She negotiated cost with a vendor. The school board has not been able to agree on a board member. In the eyes of TEA, it's not a good look. Not a good look. So for Carlos, Frank, and Minerva to be, if we can agree, let TEA come in. Do they really know what they're asking for? When we talk about the teachers, how do you feel? Teachers unions, how do you feel about Carlos, Frank, and Minerva not caring about this? Because if TEA will come, they will open the books. They will close schools. They will get rid of teachers. Because to TEA, teachers and schools are just a number. Are just a number. Now, Frank and Minerva, they're blinded by their friendship with Carlos Elizondo, that they're taking into consideration that TEA would come in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that every board member had 3 nominations that were submitted to the attorney on who should be considered to fill in that vacant spot? So essentially, we have 6 board members. They each had 3 nominations. We should have had 18 potential appointees. What if I told you that Minerva Peña and Frank Ortiz did not submit a nomination? Why? That's very telling. It either shows their incompetence, it either shows that they're not prepared, or something more sinister, that they were already under the impression that Carlos Elizondo was going to make a nomination, and that nomination was going to be the elected BISD board member. Would you believe me if I told you that? Now, the interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, the interesting about this all was what Minerva Peña said behind closed doors. Minerva Peña, ladies and gentlemen, there was 3 nominations. 3 nominations made by Ms. Daniela Lopez Valdez. And let me tell you that these 3 nominations that were made by Daniela Lopez Valdez weren't even on the applicants list. They did not apply. Why did they go through all the process of submit a resume, do this, do that? Why you would be a best fit for BISD? Would you believe me if I told you that Daniela Lopez Valdez, the board president, nominated 3 people that didn't even apply? Why? She nominated a doctor. She nominated a small business owner, a possible realtor or attorney, but it's a small business owner. And the third person that they nominated was a parent. Now, the interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, the interesting thing that happened was what Minerva Peña said about Daniela Lopez Valdez's candidates, nominees that weren't on the list. Minerva Peña said that if you are a medical doctor, you kill people. So what does a doctor know about education? A doctor, Daniela, a doctor cannot be on this list because they kill people, according to Minerva Peña. And this is what Minerva Peña believes in. The funny thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that Carlos Elizondo, isn't he a nurse practitioner? Why didn't he tell Minerva Peña anything? Doesn't he work at DHR Hospital? Is that what he thinks of his fellow colleagues? Is that what he thinks of his fellow superiors, the doctors, that they just kill people? Again, I'm not saying it. Minerva Peña said that. So if you're a doctor, you can't serve on the BISD board because you kill people. What does the medical profession think about a board member saying this? that a medical professional is not qualified to serve on the board. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Now, again, Minerva Peña said a doctor that Daniel Lopez Valdez nominated kills people. Daniel Lopez Valdez said that a small business owner, we're thinking it's a realtor based on various sources. Well, Minerva Peña started researching that person and said, no, that realtor, that small business owner, she can't serve the board because she's divorced. She's a divorced woman. Can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? Can you imagine that? That an individual would say that a woman who is divorced is not worthy to serve on the board. Are you kidding me? The third individual that Daniel Lopez Valdez nominated that wasn't on the applicants was a parent. Minerva Peña said, if you're a parent, you're not worthy. You're not qualified to serve on the school board. I want you to realize how crazy that is. Again, these are the individuals that represent you, the community. So a doctor is not worthy. A small business owner is not worthy because she's a divorced woman. And a parent is definitely not worthy to serve on the BISD board. They want to call Frankie Olivo a clown, part of the circus. I think you may want to rethink who the circus is. It's interesting. It's very interesting what has been transpiring as of late. Also, we heard about how the media finally uncovered who the board wanted. According to Brownsville Herald, they stated one person familiar with the discussion said that the Elizondo Ortiz Peña faction was holding out for Farley Trevino to be appointed. Now, this is a reporter with the Herald saying this. And again, Farley, remember what happened when we posted about Rivera? What do we remember from Rivera? The scandal where students were being groomed, where our investigations go back 20 years. Recently, we had a criminal justice teacher arrested for an improper relationship with a student. Recently, we found out that same teacher, coach, had a relationship with a student 10 years ago. Well, we found out through the grapevine that Farley Trevino, the faction that Carlos, Minerva, and Frank wanted, was deep in the mud in that scandal. We posted back in May 13th that during the AOBE forum in these past November elections, Farley Trevino commented that the unions helped him get out of trouble because he was accused of having an improper relationship with a student. This isn't something that I'm making up. He said it himself. People were present. Erasmo Castro told me, what the hell did he say? Why would he say that? It just so happened that a few months later, 4 or 5 months later, the scandal breaks out at Rivera, which leads to the idea that, hey, maybe Farley was guilty, or he is guilty. He's cooked. People said, "Oh, you're defaming people. You're making allegations." Am I really? Look at this same post, ladies and gentlemen, from May 13th. Zoom in on the bottom. Look what it says. Farley did mention the AOBE forum at the AOB forum, but he also mentioned he had been cleared. Someone stated, cleared? Yeah, right. By who? They probably paid the victim to stay quiet. And then look what they say. I can tell you the allegations of Farley having an improper relationship with a student are true. This isn't Frank Olivo saying it. There's other coaches that previously served administration that was concealed by the students. Not to mention, they actually did go to court. She gives a name, Alvaro Hernandez, who I believe had was arrested, having a relation. I don't even know. I heard that the student was pregnant. Again, this isn't Frankie talking about this. This is a victim. Look what she says. The Farley allegations are true. Why would Carlos Elizondo want this man when these allegations are out there? Look what she goes on to say. I'm more than sure that there are others, leading to imply that, hey, she's one of them who experienced it, but they don't want to come forward. Look what she says at the very bottom. He knows who I am. I've remained quiet, but now with kids, some of my former classmates, some are teachers themselves, they probably won't talk about it, know him as well. This isn't news, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't something that I'm making up. No. These are serious allegations. Why would Carlos Elizondo, Minero Peña, Frank Ortiz, why would they want someone like this on the board? Has this been investigated by the authorities? Is BISD trying to sweep this under the rug? We learned that Farley became a principal, assistant principal, by the help of Rose Longoria. Did Rose Longoria go through the superintendent and ask about this politico who ran for office? Did she run it by the super, the one in charge, and said, look, I'm considering making this move. What do you think? What do you have to say? She didn't ask for permission. She did it. And he served at Perkins, and I believe he was floating around, if I'm not mistaken, wherever they needed him, back in March or April. Has anything been done to Rose Longoria? Has a super said, hey, you got to run things by me, ma'am? Nothing. Nothing. Now, again, what is the media reporting? Well, Juan Montoya, the godfather. He's stating that, hey, that the BISD proposed a Sarkis appointment. Now, the thing with this article, again, bring me up. Whenever information gets presented to us, I don't want to dare say that I'm 100% right. No, because, hey, we're human. Things get lost in translation. Maybe things aren't explained correctly. But are we hot? Are we in the area? Yes, we're very hot. Same thing with Juan Montoya. Does Juan Montoya get everything right? No. But did something happen behind closed doors that they wanted Martin Sarkis on the board as a nominee? Yes. 1,000%. Who was that individual? Carlos Elizondo. Carlos Elizondo wanted Martin Sarkis. Now, the interesting thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is why Martin Sarkis? Why? We've talked about how he is a part of this web, that there was an arrangement made by Gustavo de Leon, Pedrito Cárdenas, Carlos Elizondo, that Gustavo would appoint Martin Sarkis to the PUB board And he was also going to be appointed to BISD. And he was going to step down from PUB to serve on BISD. Can you close your eyes for me and imagine how crazy that is? How in all the city of Brownsville, with a population of over 200,000 residents, that one individual that is a mechanic that has a very sketchy background was nominated for not one but two positions? Can you imagine that? That man should buy a lotto ticket, ladies and gentlemen. What are the chances of that out of all people? And again, bring me up. I have a folder with damning evidence in regards to the likes of the character that is Martin Sarkis. And it's ready to go. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen. Again, I always come to you with facts. I always come to you with receipts. But what happened? What happened? Martin Sarkis was denying it. He said, Frankie, you're wrong. I do not want BISD. I declined it. So 2 weeks ago, he said he declined it. So he is confirming that there was an offer made. By who? Was it Carlos? Or was it someone else? Would you be shocked if I told you that something happened behind closed doors that kind of got everybody uneasy? Something happened that you're a liar. It didn't happen that way. Would you believe me? What if I told you that Carlos Elizondo, his only nominee, remember, each board member had 3 nominees. Minera Peña had no nominees. Frank Ortiz had no nominees at the time before this meeting. Carlos' only nominee was Martin Sarkis. Would you believe me if I told you that Carlos threw Daniela Lopez under the bus by saying that she wanted Martin to be the nominee? Daniela freaked out. She's like, what? No, I don't. She freaked out. No, you're a liar. That she did not agree to this. Now remember what we said about the tangled web we weave. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen? Y'all remember? The tangled web we weave. Carlos said behind closed doors, well, you wanted him, Daniela? Daniela said, you are a liar. Martin denied it. He said that he would not accept. He did not. He declined it. What will happen moving forward? Again, we report things with the hope that it doesn't come into fruition. We've been reporting about Martin Sarkis being the nominee 2 weeks ago, and what happened? Carlos nominated him. That was Carlos's only nomination. The crazy thing, ladies and gentlemen, the crazy thing was that he threw Daniela Lopez Valdez under the bus. Now, why? Why would he do that? What if I told you? What if I told you that there's text messages between Daniela and Carlos, between Daniela and Martin, between the Lopez family and Carlos, between the Lopez family and Martin? Would you believe me? Because the understanding, before we reported everything, back in February or March, an agreement was made. The plan before we started reporting that Martin Sarkis was going to be the nominee was that Daniela would nominate him and Carlos would second it. According to various sources, ladies and gentlemen, according to various sources, there's information out there. that Daniela's dad spoke with Martin Sarkis in regards to the appointment. They made it known that they supported him. Is Daniela Lopez Valdez denying that she spoke with Martin? Is she denying that her dad spoke with him? Or is she denying that they support him? Again, various sources have told us, Frankie, there's evidence out there. There's text messages out there that shows that Daniela was well aware of Martin being appointed and that she was on Carlos' side. On Saturday, during the runoff elections, that's why I posted late at night, because when I was going through the show, my source, hey, Frankie, Carlos and Lopez are good. It's a done deal. I hope there isn't text messages out there going around saying that this was going to happen, that they're on your side, Carlos, Daniela, Minerva. But you know what? Those text messages are real. I know about them. My sources have seen them. And as of Saturday night, it was a done deal. Martin was saying, I got the votes. I'm good. Crazy, huh? This kind of feels like organized crime. It feels like a mob. It feels like if they're colluding. If this isn't a RICO act, I don't know what is. It's kind of crazy when you ask me. They're not in it for you. And again, going back to the Martin Sarkis thing. This goes to Susan. Susan, you and I don't agree on everything. But Susan, I know that you have a heart. I know that you have a conscience. And how do you feel right now knowing that your friend Carlos Elizondo nominated someone who didn't even apply, who has a sketchy background, who has many red flags? We've been talking about this, Susan, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and you said that it was all a lie, that Frankie does not have information right. He is dumb. He's a clown. Look what happened, Susan. Everything we've been saying, that Martin Sarkis was going to get the nominee, ended up coming true. Carlos nominated him. And again, Susan, you're friends with Carlos. And Carlos nominated someone who didn't even apply, who doesn't even speak English. He was a part of the ethics committee that ruled against you, and he ruled in favor of Roy de los Santos. I remember that time. I was present at that time. I think other people were there. I was there. And I thought, Martin Sarkis, out of all people, is there. He was put there on purpose. You remember that day. Susan, does Martin have more political clout than you? You and others are working together to make Carlos the Republican candidate for Precinct 2 of Cameron County. And you know what he did? Susan, I'm going to nominate Martin. I'm going to nominate Martin. Again, the interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, about this is that everybody is playing each other. Everyone's pointing fingers at each other. And we'll talk again about Minerva Peña. Minerva Peña has been telling people that Martin's appointment came from Daniela. She's implying that she wasn't in support of Martin Sarkis being appointed. But the funny thing is that these people, they're not good at lying. If I told you that I submitted an information request from BISD to see whether or not Carlos Elizondo and Minerva Peña asked for Martin Sarkis to be placed on the agenda, would you believe me? I don't have the evidence yet, but when I do, I will post it. But I can tell you that there is an email that will prove that Carlos and Minerva, Carlos made the motion, Minerva seconded the motion to put it on the agenda. It wasn't Daniela. But Minerva Peña was spooked because because we posted about Martin getting into a physical altercation with a family member at the hospital. Martin Sarkis owes a family member $75,000. Anonymous. The other day you said that that they talk too much. So true. It was heard that Carlitos does not want to fill the vacant seat. He wants TEA to come in and take over. Why would he want that to happen? That is the question. Carlitos has been in communications with Ruben Cortez. One might ask, why would Ruben Cortez? Because Ruben Cortez is the chairman of the board for Region 1. And Mr. Cortez used to be on the State Board of Education. Mr. Cortez believes that he has Morath's ear. Morath is a commissioner for education for Texas. Cortez thinks that Morath will appoint him as the monitor for BISD, plotting and scheming so they can rate BISD vendors and replace certain BISD employees. Wow. Crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen, that's coming in hot. Hot, 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 hot. Damn. Let me post this right now while I can. Wow. Interesting stuff, ladies and gentlemen, that is happening behind closed doors. One second, I'm going to post it. It's interesting how BISD doesn't let me tag them no more. Huh? I wonder why. Post it. Frank Ortiz, again, Frank Ortiz. Frank Ortiz. You don't believe me? Look what I just posted. And again, I didn't even know this stuff. People are wondering, how do you know this stuff? The community is tired of corruption. The community is fastidiado with everything that's going on. Let me show you what they just sent me. Again, we always work with receipts, ladies and gentlemen. It's important for us to recognize what's out there. What is out there? Where is it? There you go. Bring me up. Crazy stuff, man. So Carlos doesn't want an appointment. He wants TEA to come in. Can we see that? Look what they just sent me. Anonymous, the other day you said that they talk too much. Carlos and his team. That's true. It was heard that Carlitos does not want to fill the vacant seat. Why? He wants TEA to come in and to take over. Why would he want that to happen? That is the question. Carlitos has been in communications with Ruben Cortez. One might ask, why Ruben Cortez? Because Mr. Cortez is the chairman of the board for Region 1. And Mr. Cortez used to be on the State Board of Education. Mr. Cortez believes that he has Morath's ear. Morath is the commissioner of education for Texas. Cortez thinks that Morath will appoint him as a monitor for BISD. Plotting and scheming so they can screw BISD vendors and replace certain BISD employees with their people. Ladies and gentlemen, there's so many people that believe that Carlos Elizondo is doing what's right for BISD, for the community. No. When I say that Sylvia Atkinson is a Girl Scout compared to Carlos Elizondo, best believe it's because that is so. And again, going back to Going back to the whole Farley thing. Going back to Farley. The reasoning that they wanted Farley was because he came in second to Erasmo Castro. Can you imagine that? This isn't a monarchy where the next in line fills the role. This is a democracy. Why would they want Farley? Farley has so much baggage. There's a victim out there claiming that Farley, that he knows who I am. Look at the numbers. Farley got 13,000 votes. What about Marisa Leal? Marisa Leal came in second. Where's Marisa? Marisa Leal. She got 19,000 votes, 19,500. Out of all the individuals that didn't win their election, she has the highest votes. She got 6,000 more votes than Farley. So why is Farley being considered and not Marisa? Crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy stuff that is transpiring behind closed doors. Makes you wonder, do these people really care about your students' education? No, it's all about the almighty feria. That's all they care about. They're wheeling and dealing. While people applaud. Sounds like you have too much time in your hands, bro. Move on to a real job. Never mind other people's business. Damn, you're boring. And you spelled it wrong. Your is YOUR''RE. You are boring, not your. Ay, maleducado. Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for tuning in, though. Thanks for viewing. Crazy, ladies and gentlemen, what happens? Crazy stuff. What happens behind closed doors? You wanted to know this stuff, huh? But now we'll reveal who's going to be interviewed. According to various sources, this is who will be interviewed for the vacant spot. That is the place 7 seat. We have Nelda Rocha, who lost against Daniel Lopez Valdez. We have Farley Trevino. Farley Trevino, who made all these allegations. Who has a victim out there that's making serious allegations against him. And they're still questioning whether he should be the candidate to replace Erasmo Castro's seat. Are you serious? Really? Is this what we're going to? Who cares about what a victim says? Who cares an allegation that a victim made? Who cares? Minora Peña said, oh, that's fake. That's not real. Whatever's on the news is not real. Don't believe that stuff. Victor Caballero is going to be interviewed for the spot. Did he apply? Frank Ortiz nominated Victor Rocky Balboa Caballero, the man who can't control his emotions. He's angry all the time. He didn't even apply. Susan, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about Martin and Victor Caballero? be nominated. He didn't even apply for the job. When people do not apply, what does that tell you? That they're not interested, that they don't care. Victor Caballero already spent thousands and thousands of dollars. He doesn't want nothing to do with BISD. Why did he get appointed, though? Why did he get selected to get interviewed, though? Why? Blanca. I believe it's Blanca Perez. She's close with, I want to say, Eddie Garcia, Judge Garcia, Denise Garza. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Carlos does not want her, but she will be interviewed. Martin Sarkis is going to be interviewed. And can you see the 3 question marks that I have up there? Those are individuals that didn't even apply. That's the doctor. That's the small business owner. And that's the parent that Daniela Lopez Valdez nominated. And again, the interview process is going to be rigged. Because a third of the people that are going to be interviewed didn't even apply. So they did all this mumbo jumbo, apply, resume, for nothing. Really? How do you feel, Susan? Are you okay with Martin Sarkis getting the nomination and not you? Again, we have our differences, but I think you're a lot smarter than Martin Sarkis. Based on my understanding, you could speak English. Well, what is the interview going to be like? Are they going to give the interview in Spanish to Martin Sarkis? Is Carlos Elizondo going to give Martin Sarkis the questions to prepare for that interview? Carlos's faction is going to rank the exact same way these applicants. They're gonna rank them 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Why? That way they can inflate the rankings. And Frank and Minerva are doing whatever Carlos says, whatever he wants, because he wants to be board president. Crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens behind closed doors. They don't want you to know about this. They do not want you to know about this. Why? Why was a discussion in regards to the candidacy of these people? Why was it done in executive session? Why was it done in an open forum? Because they don't want you to know. But guess who will let you know? And it bothers them. It pisses them off. They say that Frankie's a clown. They say that Frankie doesn't know crap. They say that Frankie's dumb. Frankie's hot. Frankie is I don't want to say spot on, but So again, while they call me the clown, no, I'm just a spectator. And what I'm seeing is very, very troubling, because individuals that you entrust to do what's in the best interest of your child, of the community, is doing everything what's in their best interest. So this, ladies and gentlemen, the process of applying for this vacant spot has turned into a circus. Individuals that should not be interviewed. Victor Caballero didn't apply. Martin Sarkis didn't apply. Daniela Lopez Valdez's 3 candidates, the doctor, the small business owner, the parent, they didn't even apply. And Minerva Peña saying, the doctor, he kills people. He shouldn't be on the board. The small business owner, she's divorced. She can't be on the board. She's not worthy. The parent, she's a parent. What does she know? This is who will fill the spot. This is who will be interviewed for the vacant BISD seat. Ladies and gentlemen, my role before you isn't to be people's friend. I've been getting a lot of hate lately because they're saying, oh, Frankie's nothing like his uncle. You're right. I'm nothing like my uncle. I'm more ballsy. I'm more in your face, like it or not. But we stand up to corruption. We hold our elected leaders accountable because you promised the community that you will serve our needs, not yours. So yes, I take this personal because elected leaders are held to a higher standard than you and I. Call me what you want. You're just giving more motivation, more fuel for the fire to keep on marching and marching and marching to the beat of my own drum. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy what I do. I'm criticized. I'm ridiculed. I've been threatened with lawsuits. I've been threatened with my life 3 times in the span of 2 months. It doesn't bother me at all. I live for this stuff. I love it. And if something were to happen to me, oh well. You will know that everything that we do is for the betterment of our community, of our city, and more importantly, Brownsville, for wanting a better quality of life for you and your family. So I hope you appreciate what we do. I'm not going to stop. Doesn't matter if 1 person or 2 people hear me, or if thousands like how we have right now. I'm going to give my very best effort each and every time. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much. I promise you I'm going to give you nothing but bangers this summer. And we're going to come through. Tune in on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. The jailhouse riot at Carrizales. We will get inside information into what really happened on that day earlier this month or last month. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe to our pages. Frank Olivo on Facebook, Frank Olivo TV on YouTube. Best believe, fam, we will not be silenced. We will come on before you live, Monday through Friday, live and in color. Same Batman time and same Batman hour. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frank Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Let's flex on them hoes. Peace.